as a remote closer, I realized really early on that the number one way that I was going to make money in the space was by learning how to handle objections. This doesn't mean that discovery wasn't important, doesn't mean that pitching wasn't important, doesn't mean that tonality wasn't important. All of that is extremely important. But if you can't handle objections, and I realized this for myself, because I was limited in my income, I was limited to like 3-4K in comms per month maximum, if that. And I realized that I was getting nowhere fast because I kept hearing, I want to think about it. Let me take time. Let me go talk to the wife. Send it to me in the email. I kept hearing all these things and I simply did not know how to handle them. I knew little pieces of scripting here and there. I knew little one-liners, but I did not actually understand the framework for how to handle these things. And then I actually spent 3 months immersing myself in learning objections, understanding it myself. And then I got very, very good and became one of the best people that I personally know at handling objections, in my circle at least. And from what I've seen in the remote sales space, there really isn't many people who do it the way that I do it or teach it the way I teach it. So today in this video, I'm going to break down for you. We're going to go deep here. I'm going to give you an entire breakdown on my objection handling process that I use to take people from, hey, I need to think about it, to them making a buying decision on the call. I'll tell you a couple things before we get into it. This video is going to make you more money, but you have to watch the entire thing. Like every part of this video is important, and I'm not saying this to increase the watch time. Maybe a little bit I am. Wink, wink. But not really. Like every single part of this video is important because the entire process from top to bottom, the full stack process from what you do at the beginning to how you actually handle the objection and get them to buy is important. So if you have an attention span of a fucking goldfish and you zone out, you are going to be wasting your time. So you might as well not even watch the video. If you want to use the video and you want to make more money, if you're a sales pro and you are in the game and you realize that you are not at your potential, this video is going to make you more money because I'm going to give you everything in this video and it's not going to be short. It's going to be a long one. And I'm going to break down how I handle objections in excruciating detail. Second thing, some people have told me, hey bro, I've heard this from this program and this program and this model. Yeah, I didn't make this up myself. It's not like I came up with this model just out of thin air. I had to learn from mentors, and the people that I learned it from also learned this from other people as well. Everyone's teaching each other, we all take the information. Now, what I will say though is the way that I'm going to explain it to you and the way that we teach objections, the way I teach it to my students, the way I'm teaching it here on YouTube is very, very different than anything else you're going to hear in the sales space because the angle or the framework that I use is based on something called logical lines. I'm going to explain that in the training. I'm not going to go into it here. We'll get into it in about 2 to 5 minutes, right? But the way you learn objections can either help you or it can hurt you. So as an example, the program that I was in, which is a decent enough program, they had a lot of value and it was the foundations of how I learned how to handle objections. They taught you a bunch of lines and kind of word tracks and systems and basic frameworks, but it wasn't really, here's the deep psychology of understanding where someone's coming from and how to address the person. It was more like, here's how you just handle objections using these pieces of scripting and what to do first, what to do second. So a lot of the guys that I was with really struggled in that program to learn it, and I got better faster than all of them and ended up helping a lot of them. The reason is because it just wasn't taught in an effective way. My background is I'm a dating coach, right? So I was able to learn this and apply it faster than a lot of other people in the sales space. Anyways, that's it. We're going to go into the training now. Listen up, put your thinking and learning cap on, get ready to take a bunch of notes because we're going to learn how to handle objections at an elite level, and you will be better than 99% of sales professionals if you can do it this way. Okay, let's go ahead and get into it and let's make some money. All right, let's train some objections. What I'm going to break down to you is my entire objection handling framework for every single high ticket sales call that I have taken, that allowed me to close at a 15K plus per month mark in commissions, my highest month being 18K in February of 2024. And I'm going to break down to you exactly how to run through objections on every single call whenever you get them, whatever objection that you get. We're going to go detail. Now, before we go into like the exact script to use, you need to understand some fundamentals that drive objection handling and why we teach objection handling this way. Because I think there's a lot of people out there who understand some cool scripts, or maybe you've watched people role play objections and do all the fancy stuff, but it's important to understand why we do it this way. Like, what's the reason we are handling objections this way? What's the psychology behind the protocols we're using, behind the scripting, behind the framework? So the first thing I want you to understand is the idea that all buying decisions are backed by logic and are driven forward with emotion. All buying decisions. Understand this. That all buying decisions are backed by logic and driven forward with emotion. What this means is that in order for someone to buy a product, okay, let's say that you sell, let's use dating coaching. Okay, I was on a dating offer for quite a while, and that's where I made a lot of my money. Let's say you're on a dating offer. You help men attract their dream partner. Logically, they have to believe in some sense, in some way, that this thing can help them. Okay? Logically, there has to be the understood belief of, if I engage in this and I make a purchase here, it's going to be beneficial for myself. Like, I'm going to be met with a result. That has to be a logical baseline for them to buy. And then emotions are the driver. Emotions are the driver, like, I need this now versus later, right? Or an example would be, I'm losing more in my life. Let's move off dating. Let's say ecomm or trading offers. I'm losing more in my life or in my future if I don't do this than if I were to actually go ahead and invest in this, right? That's the emotion. So for someone to buy, the logic has to make sense. And all the objection handling that we do, the framework I'm going to teach you here, is all based on understanding the logic of where the person is coming from that is causing them to avoid making a decision on the call. So it's understanding that logic and then acting as necessary, doing what you need to do to supersede that logic and to win with your own logic and put them in the best position to then make a decision that would be driven by emotion. Does that make sense? And if it doesn't, I'm going to clarify more as we go deeper into the training. Trust me, look, we have a lot to get to here. Like, we're going to go freaking deep, okay? But this is the basis. So if they do have a reason to put things off, let's say your prospects have an actual reason to not do this. Okay, let's say they have a reason. One example, let's say during the holidays, we just got out of the holiday season. I'm shooting this, what's today? I'm shooting this on January 14th. So let's say that they have a reason to not do this. The reason being, the holidays just happened and, money's really tight, or holidays are coming up. That's their logical reason to put things off, to not do it. You need to have a logical line that is going to win over their logic. So as an example, if someone tells me, yeah, man, it's just the holidays are coming up and things are a little bit tough with the finances with the kids and just gifts and things like that, I'm going to say, brother, the whole reason you're in this position, man, is because you haven't done this and you haven't made money with ecomm, right? The question is, are the holidays going to happen again? Do you think next year you're going to be in the holiday season as well? He's going to say, yes, of course. Yeah. So that guy who's in the holiday season, no matter what, this is life. Right? Does he take actions and put himself and his family in the best position to succeed, even if the holidays make it a little bit tough? I'm not saying that the money is easy, and I know it's not, brother. I know it costs a lot. I'm aware of that. But that doesn't mean that you can't find a way and have a conversation around putting yourself and your family in the best position, even during the holiday season, because this is going to happen again. This is life. And the reason we're even having this conversation right now is because you wanted to make change and put yourself in a better position to succeed. Would that not be correct? Right? So that doesn't mean the objection is handled, by the way. There's a lot more I would have to do in that conversation, but I'm giving you a summary here. That's an example of my logical line beating out his logical line, right? So if the prospect has a logical reason to not do this, then I'm going to have a logical line that's going to surpass their own logic. And what needs to happen, here's the sauce now, what a lot of sales pros miss, and trust me, we're going to go into a lot here. What a lot of sales pros miss is understanding the lines of logic. So what sales pros tend to do, and I see this mistake made all the time in the industry now in remote sales, what I see is a lot of closers who think they're good at handling objections because they've been in like these little programs where like the coach just does flashy objection handling. Him and his coaches will kind of just like show off and do some flashy stuff. But they don't, the people who are learning, the sales pros who are in these sessions, don't actually understand the psychology of what causes objections to be properly handled, right? So when someone agrees to a line of logic, when they agree like, okay, this makes sense, I have no out. There's no reason for me to not do this now. Yes, I have a little bit of fear. Yes, the finances are tough, but hey, the sales guy, now I'm thinking as the prospect, the sales guy, he kind of said we can figure out the finances, so that's not even going to stop me. Fuck. Now you have him in a bind. So what happens next is you need to use what we call emotional crossroads to allow them to make a beneficial decision for themselves, for their future, for their family, for their personal lives, to move them forward. And an emotional crossroads question doesn't need to be some soppy shit like, hey bro, like, I don't even know what the soppy version of that would be, but some corny question. It doesn't need to be that. Emotional crossroads is just like, bro, do you deserve this in your life? Or if you're talking to a woman, it's like, Sarah, do you deserve to have this life of freedom in this future? Do you deserve that, or yes or no? And she's like, yeah, I do. I genuinely believe I deserve this and I want to be this person. Hell yeah, then let's get started. It's simple as that. The emotional crossroads questions is where, and I'll explain it more later, is where you have them pick a path. Who do you want to be? Like, who do you choose to be in this moment? I'm getting back into Christianity, getting back into faith. And there's this verse in the Bible. It's like, choose who you will serve. right? Will it be us or them? Choose who you're going to serve. Will it be the Lord or them, right? You have to like choose the fucking path. Who are you going to, like, who do you want to be? Who are you going to become? Right? That's the emotional crossroads questions. You drive them forward. Now, you need to understand that when a prospect, here's where we get into the meat of the training now. Here's what's going to change the whole game for you. You have to understand that when a prospect gives you an initial objection, when you have this initial objection from a prospect, it's almost always going to be a mask and you can't take it at face value. So what I hear is a lot of sales pros, we do free trainings in our community on Thursdays. And a lot of the people who come in, and even people in our paid program, when they start working with me, I have to like rewire their brain. A lot of them are like, how do I handle I have to talk to my partner? Or how do I handle them saying I want to think about it? How do I handle the send this to me in an email objection? How do you handle the more reviews objection? And what I always have to tell them and get real clear is you don't handle that. The reason why you don't handle it, again, kind of wink, wink, we do handle it, yes, but understand the heart of what I'm saying here, okay? For you to really get good at this, you have to go beyond just like taking everything I say 110% literally and understand the nuance, okay, man? That's just how I train. So what you have to understand is that these things here are not objections, actually. Like, these are not actual objections. When someone says, I want to think about it, that is not an objection. It doesn't mean anything. I want to think about it. Cool. You want to think about it. What do you want to think about? Whatever it is that they want to take time on and think about, that is the actual objection, right? That's what it is it's a mask for the real objection. That's what it is. So you have to understand in the perspective I want you to take. And again, before I go into, you notice how I'm not teaching you all these scripts and lines. I'm not teaching you that. We're going to get there a lot. We have a lot of that coming up, like a lot of these scriptings, pieces of scripting. But I'm not starting with that because that's not going to make you better. So what you have to understand is that these first couple of statements that you hear when they're like, hey, I want to think about it. I want to get my ducks in order. Things have been a little crazy. I just want to take a little bit of time. Not an issue at all. No stress. All good. But my brain doesn't go to, how do I handle that objection? Oh my goodness. Because it's not an objection. That's not an objection. When someone says, I want to take time, can you send me an email? I just want to review things. They did not give you an objection. All they said was, I'd like to take some time. That's perfectly reasonable, perfectly fine, right? An objection to me, here's how I define an objection. An objection to me is a logical reason for why they believe they should not start on this today. That's an objection. And what I do is I handle objections. I don't handle masks. What I do is I move masks aside, I move past them, and I figure out what the real objection actually is. And these first statements, like I have here, are not real objections, they're masks. Some people in the industry call them smoke screens. I call them masks because it's the prospect putting up a mask to cover a real fear that's actually going on internally, right? These are masks. The real objection that you're going to get is always going to be related to fear or it's going to be related to finances. One of the two, nothing else. Sometimes it's just a logistical hurdle, but that's not an objection. It's just like, hey, how do we figure this out? How do we figure out how to begin? Maybe we pause the program for the first 3 weeks. Maybe we have to, finesse it in some way. That's cool. We're all good there, right? But the real objection almost always is going to be fear or it's going to be finances, right? It's never usually going to be anything else. Often it's going to be a combination of both. Fear of finances, and we'll get into, I'll give you guys some kinds of fear here. We generally teach 3. The fear of like themselves, like who I am. Could I even see results as a person? The fear of the company, so they lack trust, like lack of trust in the company and you guys to help me and get a result, or it's fear of the past, which is something that's happened before that caused them to not see results, and they're bringing that into their future. Right? It's all like the uncertainty, the unknown, but that's either going to be channeled through themselves. Like either I don't know if I can do this because of my life situation. Maybe I'm a unicorn. I'm so different. Things are difficult for me. Or it's going to be my life situation, or excuse me, it's going to be, I don't trust you guys as a company, right? Because you guys are good, but I just found out about you. I need to know more. Even then's probably a fear of them, of course. And then you have fear of the past. Hey, I was burned before, or I went through stuff that was kind of similar. I've been in the industry for a while and I haven't seen results, so that makes me have some hesitation. Okay, those are the objections you're going to get under fear, or it's going to be finances. Like, there's just a lot of money and that scares me. Finances are tough right now. Okay, so I'm going to break down for you the whole philosophy of objection handling. Here's the path. Here's what the path looks like. Here's what you're doing in objection handling. Number 1, you got to find what the real objection is. You have to find the real objection. Find the real objection. And once you figure out the real objection, you need to get the primary objection on an island, right? So when someone says, I want to think about it, or that's a lot of money, or send it to me in email, you notice how I didn't write anything about these because that is not objection handling. If I hear some people who are like, dude, he gave me an email objection. I didn't know how to handle it. You didn't get an objection. He just said he wanted to see it in an email. That's not an objection. All he said was, I just want to see it in an email before making a decision. The real objection is whatever fear, whatever financial concern is underlying that. So once I know the real objection, or the real objection handling process is, find the real objection first. And I'm going to tell you exactly how to do that. Okay, I'm going to give it all to you here. I'm not going to hold anything back. You find a real objection. Number two is you want to get to that objection on its own island. Okay, getting on its own island means like, this is what we're talking about here. This is what we're working on today. This is the thing that's coming up for you. This is the thing that's holding you back. That's getting the objection on an island. And number three is you want to handle that objection with logic and shut the door on it so that they can't use it anymore, right? You want to get handle the objection with logic and shut the door on it. And then number four is you're going to move the prospect forward with emotion, and then you may have to repeat it again. You may have to do it again. Sometimes it stops at three. Sometimes you handle the objection with logic, but then there's another objection that pops up that's tied to the root objection. And then you have to go again. And you don't go to the emotion because you haven't handled the objections yet. As in close the door on the logic. This point right here is the most important one. Number three is most important. And I'll tell you some mistakes that you're probably making right now. Let me tell you this, if you understand this already at a basic level, all of this is going to be super important for you. If you don't understand this and you're learning about this for the first time, listen, because it's good training and just going to make you money. But especially if you've been doing this and you think you're doing the right thing and you're like, I just need to get a little better, bro, or be on a better offer, which is what I hear from everyone in the industry. It's my offer. No, it's not. You're not good enough. That's the problem. You're genuinely not good enough. You need to get better. And once you get better, then you get an even better offer and make a whole bunch of money the way like our people do. You know, the people I train do that. But if you're kind of stuck at three and you're like, I keep handling the objections, but it's just a no. The problem is you're not actually doing number three. You're skipping this. What you're doing is you're doing like two, and then you're doing half of three and then jumping into four. That's what the problem is. And these are some common mistakes that I see in objections that almost all the sales pros make. And trust me, I know I'm not just shouting. I know I have a very aggressive style of training, but this is going to get you better because I want you to wake up and I want you to learn and I want you to be better. That's why I'm kind of screaming at you, because I was in your shoes once where I was not making money, right? And I wanted to make more money as a sales pro. So I understand, brother or sister. I understand what you're going through. And that's why you're probably watching this, to make more money. So here's what I'm going to tell you. There's a couple of mistakes that all sales pros make, and I see this in the industry time and time again. I hire sales pros. I have been a sales pro. In fact, I'm getting on another offer. I run our business. I train sales pros now, but I'm getting on an offer because I just missed the game of closing, like a different offer than mine. So I'm getting back in the game, and I'm closing still, right? I'm in the game, and I hire sales pros for different offers. So we place people on offers, and I see the same mistakes over and over again. One mistake is relying on one-liners in scripts. You think that your line is going to save you. It's not. And our objection handling process, the whole process we're going to go through here, has nothing to do with lines. There are pieces of scripting, but understanding we're saying these things. Like, this is my audio went out. Now it says that it's back. I hope that you guys can hear me still. I think we're good. We should be good. Yeah, it seems like. Can you guys hear me? Okay, I think we're rolling. Cool. Let's keep going. So, what happens is, if you're relying on one-liners and scripts, you're always going to be limited to whatever the script gives you. Does that make sense? If you're relying on one-liners, you're always going to be limited to the frequency of one-liners. And you're not going to expand your knowledge and be able to handle things that are thrown at you, because objection handling is the wild, wild west. Let's say that you're selling a trading offer, okay? You work on a trading offer, your company helps people trade and make bigger returns and push to like, 10, 15K a month as traders, okay? And what happens? You get some guy, he's like, I like the program, it sounds good, man, and then he gives you this. This is really great, man. Right now, I'm just in the middle of leaving my job just to go all in with trading. So I want to take the next, because I put in my 2-week notice, so I want to take the next 3-4 weeks and just figure out what life is going to be. Let things kind of settle down just in the personal life a little bit, and then come back and roll with you guys, because this is freaking amazing and I love it. But I just need to take a bit of that time from work. Do you have any like materials that you could send me just to understand more? I mean, I know what you guys do already, but do you have any materials just that I can review in the next couple weeks so I can get my head wrapped around this and kind of fully commit to this path? Because I definitely want to start with you guys. And then what happens is, if you're sitting here relying on a one-liner or a script, you're cooked. You're done. Because there is no one-liner for that. There is no one-liner. There is no little script that is going to save you for what I just did as a prospect, right? So you can't rely on one-liners and scripts, and that's what a lot of people do in the industry. And the guys that I was training with in the objection handling program that I was in a program that was just about objections. It was literally like the name of the program is objections. And when I was in the program, a lot of the guys were getting cooked. And the reason is because it was kind of just like the top people would have amazing talent, the people in the program, and then everyone else was like, I was one of the people who had great talent, by the way. And then everyone else in the program was like, wait, hold on, but there's a line I'm supposed to use. And eventually it clicked for me because, again, in my background as a dating coach, I was able to provide insights to them. And I was like, dude, it's not the lines, it's understanding the logical frameworks behind where people are coming from and what they're saying. Like, so all the like the scripts and analogies are cool, but that's not the thing that's going to change everything for you, right? So you need to understand this as a sales pro. A script is not going to save you. And then the other problem I see is jumping for the close too early. And I see this a lot with sales pros who are kind of good. So if you're, let's say, stuck at 5 to 7K per month in commissions, which is below what you could be at, what your potential is, because the top closers on in the industry are making 10, 15K, 20K a month. Right, me, I was pushing 20K months when I was a closer, and I'm pushing that now for the guys that we work with. We had a guy, Charlie, who hit 19. We have Joe, who's at 14. We got people that are doing 15K plus. Sati just hit a 16K. Like, we have people making money, and what's happening is one of the mistakes a lot of sales pros make is they're jumping for the close way too early and they don't know the real objection. Like, what happens is they'll hear something that sounds like an objection, and they'll kind of mess with the logic a little bit and give a one-liner. Usually this happens because of bad training, by the way. So if this is happening to you and you're stuck at 7, 8K and you think that you're doing okay, but your close percentage is, let's say, 25, or even if you're at 30% and you're making 7 or 8K, that means you definitely can be at 45%. Okay? Like, I'm straight up, like, our standard is 40% plus in our program for our sales pros. Like, our sales pros get mad when they're at 30%. So if you're at 30% and you're like, I'm doing good. No, you're not. You could do better, because you're probably not handling objections the right way. And if you handle them the right way, you would just boost your close percentage to 10 to 40%, boost it by 10% and make more money. So you're jumping for the close too early, because I was doing this. I would hear an objection and try to jump all over it without taking my time to truly understand the logic of the actual objection that I was hearing. And this makes a lot of sales pros, keeps them stuck at an income cap, because you don't actually know the real objection that you're getting, and you jump on something early. And the third one is trying to pre-handle objections. I'm not even going to talk about this much because it's just ridiculous. To be clear, I'm not against pre-handling objections, and I'm going to make a video probably about this. But unless you know how to handle objections at face value and you get them after discovery and after pitch, if you do not know how to handle objections at face value, you should not be focusing your energy on pre-handling objections. None of the scripting from like the guys in the industry who kind of, what's the word I want to use? Who push this industry forward is going to help you, because the only thing that matters is just being good. And once you are good, then you can pre-handle objections, right? Like, this is what I did. When I close now, I do not get many objections, like, ever. Sometimes, but it's rare. It's rare. Maybe one out of every 6 to 7 calls I'll have a minor objection, and 1 out of every 10 will be something real, like I'll have to be there for 15, 20 minutes, right? And the reason is because I understand the frameworks of objection handling so well, because I went through the fire and did it for a year, handling objections on live calls, that now I can just do it and pre-handle them ahead of time because I've earned it. But what a lot of sales pros do is they're like, yeah, my sales manager wants me to pre-handle objections and use a little one-liner to pre-frame things. You're doing a really shitty job of that. And I'm not saying this to attack you. I say this with love because I want you to make money. Okay? For real. I want you to make money. But all the sales pros I hear who are saying their sales managers are telling them to pre-handle objections, or if you are a sales manager and you're telling your people to pre-handle objections, you probably don't understand the psychology of pre-handling objections. You can't use a one-liner to pre-handle objections. Okay, rant over. Let's train. Those are the common mistakes. Let's go into what we actually do. So here's the scripting to handle objections. The high-level overview, how we're going to make money. So at the top level, when someone gives you an objection, I wrote here, I want to think about it. I don't even like this one because it's too easy. We'll mess with something a little more difficult. Let's say partners is more complicated, and I would have to make a separate video about partner. Let's use the reviews one. I like that. I like the reviews one. We'll use the reviews one and think about it at the same time, because I want to give you guys some good sauce. So let's pretend for this training, we'll use a trading offer. Okay, so we'll go with trading. So the first thing we need to do when you hear the objection, or you hear the mask, again, it's not an objection, it's a mask. When you hear the mask, okay, this sounds really good. I wanna just, can I see some more reviews, and I just want to think things over and then run it back with you. And I think in the next 2-3 weeks, my ducks should be in order. I fucking hate that sentence. My ducks should be in order, and I'm good to go. Okay. First thing that you need to do is you have to confirm that they have the basic belief that this offer can actually work for them. Understand this principle, guys, and I'm not going to spend a long time on this because I think most of you get it, but it's important for me to establish this. Objection handling is not taking someone who doesn't want to do something and getting them to want to do it. That's not what objection handling is. When you handle objections, you can only actually handle objections with someone who wants to do the thing. I'm serious. If they don't want to do the thing, you can't handle objections. If they're like, I don't like this and it can't help me, you have fucked up in your discovery or your pitch, or the offer is just not good. So I'm only talking to you if you're getting people who are like, oh, this sounds interesting, it's just a lot of money. I just need to think about it. I need to go talk to my partner. Okay? So objection handling is taking someone who's like, I want to, just not now, to I want to and I want to do it now. That's what objection handling is. And that's where you get paid the big bucks. So the first thing we need to do is get buy-in and just figure out, hey, do you actually even like this? Because if you don't like it, I can't help you. If you do like it, great, then let's have a conversation about helping you make change now and make more money now, find your dream dating life now. Trading offer we'll use, like I said, so make more money now. First thing you're gonna do when they say, I wanna think about it, can you just like send me a bit of an email? Oh, we'll go with that. Send me an email, I'm leaving my job. Okay, all these things. They just gave you 3 things. I'm leaving my job, can you send me an email? I just wanna think things over. Yeah, not a problem. Role playing now, I'm the closer, not a problem. Before you go and like think about things and take the time, I'm just curious based on what we went through as far as the process that we're going to use to get you to hitting 10, 15K a month as a trader. Do you feel like it can actually get you to that position? Because that's the most important thing for me. There we go. There's the scripting. You can see here, I did not follow this word for word, but you get the idea. That's what you're doing. You need to identify the process that we're going to use to get you to, and then you have to paint the Holy Grail. Holy Grail is the exact place they want to get to in their future, 6 months from now, a year from now, all right? Making 10, 15K per month as a trader. That's what it would be here. As a sales pro, if, when we sell our offer, our protocols training, it would be cool. Not an issue, man. Before you go and think about it, do you feel like, I guess just what we do in terms of the training, in terms of, the aggressive process we use to help you make change, do you feel like this can put you in the position where you're closing at 40% plus and bringing in months of like 15K more as a sales pro, or how do you feel? Because for me, that's the most important thing. Do you hear how genuine I deliver that, how impactful the scripting is? What you want to hear is a yes. This is the easiest version. What you want to hear is a yes. Just say, yeah, I definitely feel like it can. Awesome. Amazing. And why do you feel like it can exactly? They'll respond to you with why, and then you can. I don't do this oftentimes. I don't really care enough because you don't need to, but it doesn't hurt to do this. I'll ask, and why that part exactly for you? If they give me a great answer though on the top, if they give me a really good answer, I'm not going to double down and say why that part, but sometimes I will. But anyway, they give me an answer. So let's say the trading offer, they're like, well, I just feel like the accountability and the systems you guys have in place, or I feel like the models you guys use, or I feel like the protocols you guys use are really great. Awesome. We have a good answer. We're happy. We're great. Okay, cool. Now, and then we go into objection handling. We'll go down here. But now there's another alternate track. If they answer with a hesitation, an answer that's hesitant, I'm not sure or I don't know, you cannot move past this and start to handle objections. You can't be like, oh, why don't you know? Then they answer and then you go into objections. Why? Because we are not starting on a positive buy-in. I'll emphasize the word positive here. Get positive buy-in. If we haven't started on a positive buy-in, we're not putting ourselves in the best position to actually handle their objections and to succeed, right? So what we need to do is get positive buy-in before we go into any objections. So if they say, after you ask, do you feel like we can help you? Do you feel like this can put you in the position to get to XYZ Holy Grail? And they're like, it sounds good, but I'm not sure. We have to turn the negative into a positive. We have to do that. We have to start from a positive place before we handle any objections. So if they say, I'm not sure, then what I'm going to do, the way you turn a negative into a positive is there any reason why you feel like this won't work for you? Right? Is there any reason why it won't work for you? And you have to sound curious. You can't sound like just is there any reason why it won't work for you? Like a script. It has to be genuine curiosity. Wait, okay, interesting. So is there any reason why you feel like it wouldn't work for you then? Watch my face. I can zoom in on the webcam if you want so you can see me a little bit better. You have to have it embody, that's not a zoom. You have to embody genuine curiosity or else you're going to get cooked, right? You have to embody this in the scripting. Every piece of your scripting, every piece of how you interact with the prospects has to be authentic. Okay, so what I'm going to do is any reason why it won't. What'll happen is they're going to give you the real objection, or they're going to say nothing specific, it's just the unknown, or I'm not really sure, nothing specific. Even if they give me the real objection, I still need to go back to positive. even if they give the real objection, I'm not going to stick on it and start handling objections. I need to get positive. So what I'm going to do is no matter what, I'm always going to go back to, well, let me ask you this. If you show up and you do the work, and let's say we support you in this entire process, we give you all the systems, we give you every single strategy, like I mentioned earlier, do you feel like this can help you get to that point where you're seeing 10 to 15K per month as a trader? Yes or no? Okay, so what happens is when we do that and we double down, we should get a yes normally. If you don't get a yes, there's a whole thing for that. You're going to have to go back and forth with them until you get a yes. Maybe if you don't get a yes, you may say, okay, well, why do you feel like this wouldn't work? Again, then they'll explain it and they'll say, because, I have done things like this before. Let's pretend. That's the real objection, right? Gotcha. I want to look at that in a second. Let's say they give you a real objection. I'm still going to have to go back to positive. I get you. And I want to look at that in a second. Let's say we take out the past, though, for a second, and you just started fresh. Do you feel like our process and the models we use in terms of our training and our systems can actually put you in that position, assuming everything worked out and you did the work correctly and we supported you the way we say we are? Do you feel like it can help and put you in the best position to succeed? Yes or no? They should say yes then. And when they do it, where do we go? Where do we go? Why do you feel like it can exactly? Right? And then we need to get the buy-in. Like, why do you feel like it can? They explain why, and then we go into objection handling. And here is the objection handling. I kind of wrote that a little bit too early. Normally we would drag this actually to like down here because that's just the objection. But no matter what, we need to get buy-in before going for an objection handling conversation. Does that make sense? No matter what you do, you always need to get buy-in and double buy-in. Buy-in first, yes, and then double buy-in, why? Okay, yes, this can help. Double buy-in is why. Why do you feel like this can help you? Okay. Now, when the prospect explains the part that they appreciate the most, it's very important that, because then you're going to go into actual objection handling, and here's the meat of everything. It's very important that you only repeat what they actually said they wanted to do. I would always make this mistake. The prospect would say, like, I just want to go and take time to think about things over and get things in order. And I would say, like, in the time you want to take to do your due diligence, they didn't say they wanted to do their due diligence. All they said was, I want to take time and think things over. They never said due diligence. Or if I were to say, here's an example of doing something bad. If they were to say, I just want to go run it by my partner and talk to her, and then you were to say, to handle the objection, you wouldn't say something like, in the time you want to go and just think about things. No, because they didn't say they want to think about things. They said they wanted to run it by their partner. So use the thing they gave you. Don't use anything else. Don't feed them an objection that they don't have. So here's what we would say. For the person who says, we'll use this one of, I just left my job, or I put in my 2 weeks notice, I'm getting everything in order right now, so I want to just think about it. Here's how it would sound. And remember, they gave an email too. Don't forget that as well. I want to stay consistent. So they said, send me an email, I'm leaving my job, blah, blah, blah. So here's how I would respond. So can I ask, brother, like in terms of you taking kind of the time in the next, let's say 3 to 4 weeks to just process things and sit with things because you're leaving the job, what's coming up for you there that makes you want to do that? And I'm just curious to see if I can help. Like, what does that look like for you? And in terms of an email, brother, I don't have much to send you because everything that all the information I've already gone through with you here. It's, if I send you anything, it's going to be like 7, 8 words, just recapping what we just did. So in terms of kind of the process ahead for you, the next 2 to 4 weeks, what's coming up for you there, just to see if there's a way I can help. So what I'm doing is I'm repeating to him his own mask. And I'm going to go through the mask. I'm going to get past the mask by repeating to him, like the next layer, what is actually coming up with that mask you just gave me. Does that make sense? Are we clear? That is how you get to a real objection. So when they say, we'll give a simple one, I want to think about it. So can I ask, when you go away and think about it, you see how I'm replacing, take the 2 to 4 weeks. I know you've left the job. I'm replacing all that now with this new one. Let's say that it was just a simple think about it. I'm replacing that with just think about it, because that's what they said. When you want to go away and think about it, what's coming up for you that makes you want to do so? And just asking to see if I can help at all. That's the scripting. That's how it should sound. Okay, what we need to do now, the process, refreshing you, is you have to get the objection on an island, which means you hear the objection and you separate it to its own little island, its own place. You put it on its own island. And you shut the door on the objection, which means they can no longer use the logical basis for that to not make a decision, because you give them different logic. And then you move it forward using emotion, you get clear on the finances, and if you need to, sometimes we don't have to do this. I believe you more often than not want to get clear on the finances. Like, is it a case where you have the 5K to invest in yourself, but it's like scary to just invest that, or you have some of it and we may need to break things up just a bit? What's the situation, right? You have to understand fear protocols and finance protocols to go in depth, right? So we have training on this channel around fear, around finances, and I have some of it in my school community too. Actually, a lot of it. So before we go into more training, because we've got a lot here, if you want to go deeper on these protocols, like the fear protocol and the finance protocol, it's free. I'm not selling you anything. You can get it all for free. I give the whole protocols away inside of our school community called Quantum Level. We have all these protocols and trainings for free. I show you examples of me actually doing them on my own live calls. I have call recordings inside the school community. You can check it out. Just go ahead and join. It's free. You have nothing to lose. It's like you just join the community and get all this free shit. Like an entire free sales training program that's probably worth about $1,000, I'd say. If I had to price it in the market, it's worth about $1,000 in value, more than that, of course. But you know, if you're putting it on a sales page, it would be about $1,000. So you can go check it out; it's free, and it's inside of our school community linked below this video. Anyways, so you're gonna understand the fear protocol, you're gonna understand the finance protocol, and you want to go into depth on handling those specific aspects of fear. So let's go ahead and actually train. One thing I want to explain also is you're gonna experience like 2 to 3 layers of objections. 2 to 3 layers. You're not just going to experience one. So don't expect that just because you shut the door on the first layer, the whole objection is just going to resolve itself and everything's going to be good, because it does not work that way. There's usually going to be 2 or 3 layers of like fear that you're going to have to get through. It's like a yes, okay, that makes sense, but also, and then you have to handle that too. So just be aware of that. So let's say the prospect now shares the real objection, okay? I don't want to use finances. Let's go with something else. I have finances here. Let's mess with something a little more fun. We'll use time. This is a good one. So, you know, they're like, yeah, I'm just leaving the 9 to 5, man. And I'm not sure if right now it's time, because there's a lot of movement happening in my life. Things are a little bit chaotic right now in terms of like the job, and I don't know what life is going to look like over the next couple of weeks. There we go. That's an objection. We're starting to realize it's a bit of fear. It's a bit of fear. This guy wants to put things off because he's in a time in his life where things are chaotic. What we're going to do next is clarify. You need to clarify first. Clarification would be, okay, in terms of the next couple of weeks, when you say you don't know what they're looking like, what things are you unsure about over the next couple of weeks? Again, just to see if I can help. What is life looking like for you, man? There we go. We're going to get clarity. He's going to elaborate. He's going to say, well, I'm leaving the job, and right now my wife, she's working her 9 to 5, but she's going to be picking up probably more hours. So I'm just going to be at home, and I want to just see what life is going to look like adjusting with the kid and all that stuff. You know, we got married recently too, so we're kind of in a season of change. So I just want to see what things are going to look like before taking on something like this. That's what you would hear a prospect say. That's how it's going to sound. Okay. So then this will happen on your calls. If you're on live calls, you've seen this already. This is what happens. So after clarification, now what we need to do is we need to go to Logical Island. So first things what I would do before I go to Logical Island, oftentimes I'll get clear on finances. And I really wrote that this is optional because I tend to do this very early. What I tend to do is after I hear the first objection, or the first mask, I'll just be like, in just a sec, in terms of the investment, you know, investing 6, 7K in this, is it that you have that investment right now, but it's a bit scary for you to invest it now? Or do you have some of it we may need to break into something a little more manageable for you? I just want to get a temp check, like a temperature check on where they are with the finances, where they are with like their current state of being able to invest, because I do not want to waste my time. And that's what a lot of people, sales pros do. They go down this whole objection handling path and waste a bunch of time. So around this time now, I'm going to get clear on finances. They'll answer it, and then boom, we're back on objection handling. We're going to go into the real objection. Now, here's how we get it on an island. Shutting the door on it and handling the objection so that they cannot use it again. I don't like the way a lot of sales pros do this. The way a lot of sales pros do this is they tend to monologue. And a lot of in the industries like this, they'll monologue and give these like witty one or two liners, and then like start giving a whole speech. Or they'll do the opposite, give a one-liner and that's it. What I want is my objection handling to be a dialogue. And this is what kind of sets our training apart from everyone else. We teach conversational skills. So it's like conversation and communication and leadership. I want my objection handling to be a dialogue between myself and between the prospect. A continuous back and forth dialogue. Now, how does that sound? Here's how we get the objection on an island. So let's use the objection. I'm not going to use this one here. I don't know if it's now is the right, excuse me. I'm getting confused because we have a lot on this board. I'm not going to use it's a lot of money. We're only going to go with this one. I don't know if now is the right time. The fear, right? If now is the right time to be in this position because we have all the changes coming from leaving my job, etc. Here's how I would get that on an island. What is the logical line there? The logical line is life is chaotic and busy. I'm in a new season of change. So I don't know if I can make money as a trader now using you guys as service. That's the logic the guy's using, but it's just fear, to be honest. So my logic is going to supersede the logic he's giving. Remember we said lines of logic? and understanding the logic of where they're coming from. And if you understand the logic of where they're coming from, the scripting then becomes easier to use. So here's how I'd probably respond. After clarification, tell me more. What do you mean things are changing? We already did that. He elaborates and I say, gotcha, brother. Can I give like an insight that may be of help? And maybe not, but I just want to share something with you. We call that watering the soil. He'll be more open to hear it. You prepare him to receive it, get a little bit of a yes. Yeah, what do you want to say, man? He responds positively. Now we handled the first line of logic. What's interesting is life is all about changes and all about seasons, John, right? So right now, the whole reason you've left the job is because you want to be a trader who is successful and who's making tons of money. And the next 4 to 8 weeks are extremely important actually for your journey, because I assume you're still going to be trading, correct? Here's the first one where his logical dominoes are going to fall and the lines of logic he's using are going to be cooked and I'm going to win. Because first things first is he's already going to be trading. He's still going to trade even when he leaves his job. He's not going to stop. In fact, he's going to do it more. He's going to admit to that and say, well, yeah, I mean, of course. Which means that now it's even more important he trades the right way, because the next 8 weeks he really needs to make money. Right? There we go. And if he told me he had the money, of course, if he said he had no cash, well, that's a whole other conversation. But let's say he had the money. He's like, I have some of it. It's not easy to just invest 6K right now, but I have some of it. We can do this. We have a logical line here. We're going to be able to handle this. Here's how it sounds. So you are going to be trading, right, John? He says yes. Okay, good. Then what I feel is like, and tell me if I'm wrong, it's extremely important that right now the way that you trade is actually going to be helping you make more money, and you're building a better foundation, because these next 4 to 8 weeks of the uncertainty and the chaos are super important in your trading journey, brother. You're going to be building worse and worse habits, especially now that you're in a season of change. So in fact, putting in the right systems, I'm not going to talk about our program. I'm breaking role play. We're not really role playing, but I'm going to break it. I'm not going to talk about our program here because I don't want to say us. It's about him and the future he wants to have. So this is me getting his objection on an island and shutting the door on the logic. Watch how we do it. And if you've been on sales calls, you know this should work. You should know this. If you're like, how would that sound live? Or like, what would the prospect say? You'd have not taken enough sales calls. And just trust me, this will work. Watch my call recordings that I have on YouTube. So here's how it sound. In the season you're in right now is one of change, John. So I would dare say it's very important in this window, even in the next 2 weeks, that you just start trading the right way versus delaying that like months from now, whether it's a month, 2 months, because you're actually burning time and you're burning income, because you could be profitable as soon as two to 3 weeks. And these 2 to 3 weeks are very important. Does that make sense? Tell me if you think I'm wrong. What's going to happen now, one of two things. He's either going to be like, yeah, you're correct, done, and then we move forward, or he's going to say, you're right, but, right? Let's go with the hard one. Let's say he says, you're right, but, which usually happens in objections. So I've already shut one line of logic that he can't use. Let's say he goes the next one. He's like, you're right. You're right. I do want to do things the right way. And I think you bring up a good point, but it's just time-wise, man. Like things are a bit stressful because I'm going to be spending a little more time with my kids now that I'm going to be at home. So I just want to figure out what the time is going to look like. I mean, I'll have less time because I won't be at the 9 to 5, but I was working from home anyways. I'm being the prospect, by the way, in case you don't realize. I'm sitting here talking to myself on YouTube video. It's really funny, but there is a person watching me, you. Cool. So he's like the 9 to, I'm leaving the 9 to 5, but I'm going to be spending more time probably with the girls now, or my daughter that I have to, that I have more time. And then also there's a lot going on just at home, and my wife figuring things out with her and what her stuff is going to look like. So time is something I want to think about, and just the schedule that I have, right? There we go. Time now. He's offloading one line of logic because we cooked him there. Door is closed. He can't use it. Put him on an island. Next line of logic. I don't have enough time. The response? No, I got you, man. Well, in terms of the time, do you have like 5 to 10 hours a week to give to kind of your future and making money for your family and being a better trader? Because it's going to take 5 to 10 hours. It shouldn't take more than that. You need to do the Tuesday session, the Thursday session. That's an hour. You could block that off more than enough in advance. And if you happen to miss it, it's 2 hours, by the way. So I think it's an hour. You need to be there for about an hour, but the session's 2 hours. You don't have to make the whole thing. And if you do miss it, you can get the recordings, of course, and ask questions to your one-on-one coach. And then during the week is just doing a bit of the homework. That's maybe an hour every other day, maybe 2 hours if you want to put in more effort. So it's going to be around 5 to 10 hours a week, John. Do you have that to give to your future, or you couldn't even do that? Look at the tonality, look at the energy, look at the expression, look at how I'm embodying it. Do you see how I'm delivering it? What answer would you get? It's obvious. He's going to be like, well, I do have that. Done. Logic is handled now. Get it on an island and shut the door. That's what you've done. You've shut the door, right? And this is the parallel. Does that make sense? What I want to do is I want to get a yes. You can't move on until you get agreement, because if you move on without getting agreement, you haven't shut the door. I need him to say yes. I need him to say, like, I agree, you are correct, Tim. My logic doesn't make sense, yours does, and I need to win this. So now I win. He's going to be like, well, no, you're right. And this is awesome. And it's great. And I know you have the time. You can find the time. And we have so many people who are busy that we've trained. But really, it's about, the program is made for busy people, at the end of the day. Really what it's about, John, is putting yourself in the best position to succeed at the right time. And I can't imagine you'd give me 45 minutes here of your time here if you didn't feel like you were in a position in your life where you wanted to make more money as a trader and do right by yourself and your family. You tell me if I'm wrong, but I think I am onto something here. I think we're onto something. I think this is a future that you want to have, it seems like. Here we go. We're bringing it to the present. He wants to make change. You can hear what I'm doing. Hopefully you get what I'm doing. There we go. Logic is now shut. Logic is handled. He has nowhere to go. He cannot escape. Logically, he can't escape. But now, how do we get him to buy? We have to move it forward with emotions. We call these crossroads questions. Crossroads questions, which I explained earlier, but we're going to it again, are questions that present a yes or no decision to the prospect to decide to be a certain person for himself or for his family. That is what a logical crossroads question is. It is going to help him choose a certain path. That's going to help them take like a certain action and be deserving of that holy grail in that desired state that they want to have in the future. And we end these questions with a yes or no decision. So I'm going to ask him one logical question. I'm not going to read the scripting here. I mean, I have this scripting, but in the moment, I would ask something different probably. I would say, well, and what I want to know, John, I wouldn't even let him respond and fight back on the logic because I handled it. So I'm just going to move on. He says, yes, no, you're right. Jump in with the emotional crossroads now. Emotional commitment questions to move forward and be a certain person. The question I have, John, is like, does your family deserve you to put in the work and to kind of be that guy for them who provides a better life and a better future for them? Do they deserve that? Yes or no? He'll say yes. Good. Well, good. And then do you deserve it? Do you deserve to be that man for your family? Because a lot of men won't step into this responsibility. And I'm not saying this in a corny way, man. I'm not saying this like, oh, it's just like a casual talk, bro. Take responsibility. Every self-development like guy on YouTube says that. I'm sure you know. I follow them myself. But do you feel like you genuinely deserve to kind of bring that kind of income in for your family as a trader and level up their lives? Do you deserve to be that man? He says yes. Of course, he's going to say yes. And why do you deserve that? Because it's important. It's part of the whole game here. He answers. If he gives you a good answer, then we tie it up. Good. Then like that person, that man who's making money, who's creating a better life for his family, who's creating a whole bunch of freedom for them, and who executes and who dominates the markets, brother. Like, what decision does he make here? Frankly, it's not saying it's too chaotic for me and I can't do this now, because you definitely can. You have the time. It's stepping up, taking responsibility, and driving forward and making changes, bro. And that's what I'm here to help you do. What does that guy do here? There we go, right? And now we have it tied up. We have it all tied up. It's clean, done. You should he would say he would move forward and he would, want to do things. And then I would jump in and say, in terms of the finances, we can look at that as well, because I know it may be a bit tough. But yeah, he'd move forward, man. So can we look at the finances and figure out the best way to do this and move forward? And then I would go into payment structure, and then there's a good chance he'd say, I'll just pay the full thing at once if your payment structures are set up correctly. That's it, man. That's how we handle objections. That's how we do it. It's clean. It's simple as that. And I want you to get it right. I want you to make money. Because this will make you money. This will change your life. If you do this correctly, this literally will change your life. Okay, that's that. I'll leave you there. Hopefully it made sense, and I'll talk to you and give you a little outro to this video. I'm going to stop the screen share and I'll tell you a couple of things about the year and how you're going to make money this year. But that's that. Just wanted to give you some sauce and some insights. Okay, hopefully it made sense. I hope that you can now see the method to the madness, my friend. I hope that you understand how to use this protocol, how to use this process to make a whole bunch of money as a sales pro. What I would tell you, where you can go from here if you want to dive deeper and actually learn the process at the deepest levels, join our school community. It's completely free. And it's not a corny school community where you're a sales pro. You don't have time to do all this accountability shit. What it is it's a course. It's a program where it's free, where I train you in how to handle objections at the highest level. I show you my calls. We have live role plays and trainings where I'm demonstrating many different kinds of objections. We're demonstrating fear. We're demonstrating partner. We're demonstrating business partners. We're demonstrating fear of the past, finances, all these protocols. We walk through it inside the school community. And I wish more people understood this, but it has the most value of any sales training community, like free value that you're going to see anywhere online. It's probably worth about $1,000, like I said in the training just now. It's about worth $1,000 if you were to pay for it, but I'm giving it away for free. And my goal is always to give the most value, straight up. My goal is to give the most value, more value than anyone else, for free. And then if you find that that has changed your game and you're making more money with it, then I say come in, pay me, and train with me. Let's make you way more money. That's the game. That's how I do it. I lead with value first. That's my marketing strategy. Give you as much value as I can for free. You're like, shit, this is so good. What would the paid stuff be? And then we have a conversation and bring you in. That's how it works. So come into the community and change your life. All of our sales pros, literally our success rate is ridiculous. And they all started with the free stuff. So everyone who's worked with me has started just looking at what I got for free, and they used that, made some changes, and then came in. So check it out. The school community link is down below. It's called Quantum Level. So school, SKOOL.com/quantum level. It's down below in the description, or maybe I'll pin it at the top of the comments and you can see it there. Okay. I look forward to seeing you. And if you do join, when you join, look at your DMs, because I'm going to send you a message, or someone on my team will message you. We'll pick up a conversation, see what you need, see how we can help as you go through the classroom material. That's, again, completely free and is massive amounts of value. We don't hold anything back. I have tons of my sales calls in there as well. Not tons, but a couple really good ones. Okay, goodbye. I'll see you on the next one. And let's get better. Let's make changes. Let's make money. 2025 is here. It's time to level up your life and set yourself and your family, your future free. Goodbye.